What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. On the last part, we got to see what happened once the group encountered Cooler, or specifically Metal Cooler. The main goal of the group was to defeat Frieza, although they encountered a huge roadblock along the way. Cooler had merged with the Big Yeti star, allowing him to cheat death. This forced the group to actually fight alongside Frieza, just briefly though. But at the end of the last part, we saw as the group was split up, with Vegeta and Kakarot drifting throughout space, not knowing what happened with Raditz and Nappa. For this part, let's hit a like goal of 3,500 likes. Once we hit that, I'll continue with another part of the series. Anyways, let's pick up from here. So things aren't looking too good right now. They're injured, and they're floating throughout space not knowing where they're supposed to be at. They have no idea where to head next, but they do have one place in mind that might be a nice little safe haven, just for the time being. They could head back to Earth. Again, they have nowhere else to go and they don't really know what to do now, so maybe just head back there for the time being. Who knows, maybe along the way they'll find Raditz and Nappa, and maybe they'll have the same idea and go to Earth as well. So, Vegeta pilots a ship towards where he thinks Earth is. But as they're floating throughout space, they pass by a random ship. It's kind of far and they think that it didn't notice them. But they're concerned because they think that it might be another Frieza ship, possibly another Scraggler that somehow survived. And then they see another ship, and the two ships begin flashing lights at them, and then someone comes with the radio trying to communicate with them. They're being told to pull over. What? They were going the speed limit. And they're not sure who's trying to pull them over, but it could be a threat, so they remain cautious. Although, if they do need to fight, they're not sure how well that's going to go. But as the ships get closer, they realize that they're not Frieza Force ships. It's some other organization that they don't recognize. The two ships get closer, and one person on one of the ships starts talking to them. He introduces himself, Jocko from the Galactic Patrol. They looked pretty suspicious, being in a Frieza ship and all. And this is the perfect opportunity to arrest some Frieza soldiers, but Vegeta tells them they got it all wrong. They literally just got back from killing Frieza. Wait, what? They killed him? Yeah, that's what Vegeta just said. Jocko doesn't actually believe them, but Vegeta begins explaining everything. Wait, they're Saiyans. That explains it. Oh, that's also kind of terrifying though. But then Jocko begins thinking. He tells them to come back to the Galactic Patrol base with them. Maybe they can work out some sort of deal. Vegeta doesn't know what he's in for, but they decide to go anyways. They don't really have anything else to do. This is actually perfect for Jocko. He knows exactly what to do here. Once they arrive back at the base, Jocko begins explaining. They could help find Raditz and Nappa, if they are still alive, but they're willing to make a deal. The Saiyans are a race of warriors after all, right? The Galactic Patrol actually needs some help from some contracted fighters. And this is right up their alley. Vegeta and Kakarot ask what they're in for, so they actually have a pretty big issue that they need help taken care of. Space pirates. Sounds weird, but they're intrigued. They tell Jocko to continue. Through space, there's a gang of pirates going about from the Hera clan, a group known as the Galactic Warriors. The Galactic Patrol's been trying to follow them forever, but not only are they hard to locate, but they're hard to get a handle on. They're just so powerful that there's no way to bring them in, and that's where the Saiyans come in. Of course they'll help the Saiyans get anything they want, just because of how big of a deal this is. If they need a new ship, they got it. If they need to find Raditz and Nappa, they're gonna do that. All that will be taken care of as long as the Saiyans solve this problem. And even better, if they do find Raditz and Nappa, they could join in the fight too. More is better after all. Well, Vegeta and Kakarot don't really have any other better options. This actually seems like a good deal for them. It's funny, even though they just defeated Frieza, they're already back to doing what they do best, basically being soldiers for hire, albeit for a much better cause this time. They shake on it, and now the two Saiyans are working for the Galactic Patrol. Meanwhile, out in space, Raditz and Nappa have landed on a nearby planet. They briefly regain consciousness, and they have regained a bit of their stamina, although they don't really know where they are still, and they're still pretty badly injured. They just landed on this planet for a bit to rest and try and figure out a new plan, unsure of what to do next. But above them, they see a ship coming towards them. They're not too sure who it is. Maybe it's Kakarot and Vegeta. Were they finally found? They get happy for a second, until the ship gets closer and they don't recognize it at all. And they sense a couple key signatures aboard. It's a small gang of people with bluish green skin, and they notice Raditz and Nappa are in bad shape, as well as their ship not being in the best condition either. Raditz and Nappa are suspicious. They don't know whether to trust these guys or not. They are feigning friendliness, but something seems weird. It doesn't necessarily seem like they're here to help. The leader of the group introduces himself, Bojack, as the rest of his crew begins inspecting everything. So Nappa just flat out asks, are they here to help? And Bojack says not quite. He saw their ship out in space and it looked pretty nice. And with them being pirates and all, it looks like they found a perfect ship to steal. And Bojack was wondering who was aboard the ship. Maybe they were strong warriors that would get in the way of his conquest. But from what he could tell, these two don't seem too strong. Also, they're in really bad shape. So he's not too concerned. They try and put up a fight, but he immediately dismantles them. It's not really a hard task. And just as quickly as they arrive on the planet, they leave. Raditz and Nappa are now stranded there, more injured than before. Still not entirely sure who that was that came by. As Bojack's ship leaves alongside Raditz's ship, Raditz uses the last of his energy to shoot one attack at them. He's a bit weary, but if he could do this, at least it'll stop them from leaving. With his hand shaking, he launches the blast, and it completely misses the ship. He collapses back down on the ground as the two ships leave and the beam flies off into space. But luckily enough, help is about to arrive. As the two ships leave, it appears that the Galactic Patrol is actually trying to chase them. However, they just missed the ships, and they can't find them anymore or sense the people aboard. Although they notice something interesting. As they're flying by, one of the planets has a massive blast come from it. It almost looks like a flare of sorts. But from what they could tell, someone was just in a fight, so they descend down onto the planet trying to see what's happening. Nappa sees another ship arriving, and he tries to weakly stand up to defend against it, assuming it's more trouble. But as the ship gets closer and closer, he recognizes the energies aboard, and picks Raditz up. They've finally been found, reunited with the rest of their crew. Kakarot and Vegeta step off the ship, elated to have come across these two. Although they're in pretty bad shape, but the Galactic Patrol will take care of them and heal them, and they tell everyone what just happened. Okay, this is good, they're getting somewhere. They know that the Galactic Warriors are nearby, and apparently there was only 5 of them. They shouldn't be that bad. They just need to find the ships and stop them right away. Nappa and Raditz go with the Galactic Patrol to be healed, as Vegeta and Kakarot continue onwards. By now they're already healed. It's been a few days since they joined the Galactic Patrol, and this is their first lead. And with them being healed, they actually are a bit stronger. I mean, consider what they went through against Cooler. They're definitely in for a massive power-up after healing from that. So they're pretty confident. Not only does Bojack's group sound small, but they're a lot stronger than before. So maybe they will find a way to defeat them. Eventually, their ship does catch up to Bojack's. With the lead from Nappa and Raditz, it wasn't too hard to find. They try and follow the ship closely behind, waiting until it lands on another planet. And after a few hours, they do land somewhere else. And Bojack's group isn't stupid. They do eventually catch onto the ship following them, and they hope to lead it into a trap. As Kakarot and Vegeta enter the atmosphere of the planet, they soon encounter a bunch of blasts sent towards them. Immediately they're trying to shoot down the ship. Vegeta turns the ship to autopilot, as he and Kakarot then jump off, with the ship flying off in the opposite direction. They need to stay sure that it remains intact so they can get off the planet somehow. And after jumping off, they immediately head towards Bojack's group, plowing through all the blasts, even launching some of their own. They land in front of his group, with Bojack laughing. He should have expected that the Galactic Patrol would still be following him. Although this is interesting, it seems like they hired some new people. Oh, and that's interesting. Their armor, it's that of the Frieza Force. It seems these might be Saiyans. Vegeta and Kakarot don't care about introductions, they just want to make this quick. But also they're partially interested to see the power that gave the Galactic Patrol so much trouble. Not that they're necessarily strong to begin with, but this might actually make for an interesting battle. Bojack isn't even the first one to fight. Goku immediately launches towards the two, drawing his sword, with the two Saiyans jumping out of the way. As they avoid the attack, Beto and Bujin attack as well, with Zangia coming in from the air. A 4v2. Kind of a dirty tactic, but this will make things much more fun for the Saiyans. Immediately, they both power up into Super Saiyan, which briefly knocks the Galactic Warriors back, creating a short opening for them to attack as well. And these soldiers actually do seem pretty strong. Even in Super Saiyan, they're giving the two Saiyans a tough time. But this isn't the first time the Saiyans have been in a battle like this. I mean, look at what they just encountered. They fought infinite soldiers that kept improving in terms of strength, as well as Frieza. If they can take on that, they can take on 4 people at once. They split up, aiming to divide and conquer. And at first it seems like they might actually have a path to victory. But as the 4 pirates start getting more and more serious, it gets a bit tougher for them to compete. The 4 Galactic Warriors work together. Bujin holds Vegeta and Kakarot in place, as they struggle trying to escape, being attacked by Zangia and Beto. But this may work in their favor. They weren't at full power yet, so quickly, they power up, breaking free from Bujin's Psycho Threads, and then each launching an attack at Zangia and Beto, badly injuring those two. Vegeta then quickly jumps up in the air, launching a massive volley of blast down towards Bujin, as Kakarot clashes with Goku, and all this time, Bojack still hasn't fought. If they're having this much trouble with these fighters, maybe fighting Bojack would be harder than they thought. But it seems they defeated 3 of them so far. Goku was the only problem, although he's also stronger than he's been letting on, powering up into his full power form. Interesting, he could transform as well. Although, this transformation doesn't seem as impressive as Super Saiyan. He tries to put up a fight, but with the 2 of them no longer distracted by the other fighters, they're able to keep up pretty easily. They fight side by side, and each of them then draw a hand back, charging a combined blast, as they swing their hands forward, hitting him point blank with it, completely decimating Goku. And just to make sure the other fighters don't jump back in somehow, they take this opportunity to finish them off. Beto, Bujin, and Zangia are then killed, with Bojack watching on, surprisingly unbothered. But Vegeta's getting fed up with this guy. He's acting so cocky, and for what? He just watched his whole army get decimated, if you could even call it an army. Does he really think he stands a chance? And Bojack smirks. They haven't seen his power yet. There is a reason that he leads the group and not anyone else. He begins fighting them, and actually, it doesn't seem too bad. He's definitely stronger than anyone else, but with the 2 of them working together, they might actually be able to win this one. Although, the Galactic Patrol is definitely not getting any new prisoners today. With how these fighters are scheming, there's no way they could have left the others alive. And Bojack's probably going to be the same way. It's just too risky, and hey, they're still doing the job. Although, they're still going to be pretty cautious. For one, this guy is taking on 2 Super Saiyans at once, which is pretty impressive as is. 2, they've already fought a bit and are a bit weakened and drained, but not enough to completely change the tide of the battle. But the most concerning aspect is the fact that he might be able to transform. They saw that one other guy transform, and although it wasn't anything special compared to them, if this guy transforms, it could be bad news, considering how strong he is already. But Kakarot asked outright. He wants to know if Bojack can transform or not. He doesn't want to waste time toying around. Of course, they could just force him to transform. He's probably going to anyways if things get bad, but they might as well speed this up. And Bojack confirms this. He does have a transformation. But it seems these 2 Saiyans have a death wish. If they actually want to see him transform, well, so be it.
Time for the slaughter to begin.
He swirls around him as his jacket rips. His skin begins changing hue, and Bojack bulks up considerably, shouting as he powers up. I'm so glad that I got to use that voice clip here. It's just so funny. Anyways, Bojack is now powered up, and even though he does seem considerably strong, this is better than waiting for him to power up. Kakarot felt that Bojack was trying to drain their energy. If he fought them for long enough and then transformed, it would have made the fight easier for him. But if he transforms right now, they conserve their strength. And this is it, the biggest obstacle they're going to face now. Although they will admit, that fight was pretty fun, not only with Bojack, but with everyone else there. And you know, it's pretty interesting. Kakarot and Vegeta haven't been together too much, and the past few days have been pretty interesting. They've grown a lot closer as comrades, and have grown better as fighters, not only individually, but in terms of working together. And now is the perfect chance to display all their growth. They're going to defeat Bojack together. They crank their power up to the maximum, and it's immediately apparent that Bojack's way above them in terms of strength. They are able to get some hits in, but they don't do too much damage, and even when they coordinate their attacks, that doesn't do much either. The battle continues and it gets more and more dire, with Bojack getting a clear upper hand as it continues. But during their fight, Bojack is then hit in the back of the head. He turns around to see who did that, not knowing that another fighter was there, and the ground below him begins rumbling as it then erupts with a giant geyser of ki. Kakarot and Vegeta know exactly what just happened. Although they're not fully healed, Raditz and Nappa have joined the fight. Even from how far away they were, they're able to sense everything that was happening. The Galactic Patrol was going to send them there anyways, and it sucks that they're not fully healed yet, but their Zenkais have already made them pretty strong, even when not at full health. But the great thing is, they also served as a great distraction, and the 4 Saiyans gang up on Bojack. The tables have turned, it's a 4v1 now, but still, it doesn't seem like it's going to be easy. Maybe with those 2 Saiyans there with them, it will help, and it seems to be an even fight with Bojack, but they're still not sure if they could win. Again, Nappa and Raditz aren't fully healed, and Kakarot and Vegeta are in kinda bad shape now, but at least this gives them a better chance. They just need more power, somehow, some way. They need just enough energy to go over that limit. They're even with Bojack now, they need to surpass that. But even with Raditz and Nappa there, Bojack is still doing pretty well. This is actually pretty fun for him too. Not only does he get a good fight out of this, but if he wins, he'll be destroying more people that are potentially in the way of his conquest. It's just less obstacles to encounter later on. So he's actually enjoying himself, and this gives him a second wind. The tides turn once more. Bojack's getting an upper hand. Although slight, it's still apparent. Kakarot watches on as the rest of his group is beaten up. Raditz and Nappa, who he assumed he just lost, as well as Vegeta. Bojack might bring them to the brink of death. Not to mention, this was all after Raditz was just revived too. They can't be defeated here, especially after they just earned their freedom from Frieza. Kakarot needs more power. He's going to finish this, and he's going to summon that power no matter what. Within him, he feels something odd. His rage, his determination, both of them are bubbling up. And just as Bojack got his second wind, it seems Kakarot's getting one as well. Although, this one is different. His ki surges, which briefly distracts everyone as they look over to see Kakarot power up. The entire area begins shaking, sparks of electricity crackle around Kakarot, and very briefly, he powers up. His hair is spikier, and he's definitely much stronger. Unaware of what he just did, Kakarot comes his hands together too. This is a technique that he and Vegeta would practice, and this will be what finishes Bojack. He shouts, yelling final flash as he launches the attack, determined to kill Bojack once and for all. The other 3 Saiyans jump out of the way, and as Kakarot's attack hits Bojack, they launch their own attacks as well. Caught in the full blast, Bojack can't do anything. He curses them, as he's then wiped off the face of the planet. The Saiyans all power down, glad to have finally won. But they're confused. What was that Kakarot just did? What, the final flash? No, not that. For a brief moment, his power surged, and considerably. It's almost as if he acts as a new stage of Super Saiyan. Huh, they may be right. Personally, Kakarot doesn't even know what he just did. He thought his rage just boiled to a point where he summoned that power. But who knows? Maybe he did transform. Maybe he ascended past Super Saiyan. Locals on the planet gather around the area as the 4 Saiyans lay there exhausted. Well, looks like they're done working for the Galactic Patrol. And this is where we'll leave off for now. So, what did you guys think about this part? and what do you think is going to happen next time? Leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like, and let's try to hit that like goal from the beginning of the video so we can get another part to the series. If you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to get notified about any future parts of this What If, or any of the videos that I upload on my channel. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.